Hi guys, and welcome to another Armin's Tech Talk. Today I'm coming to talk to you about the first Firestrike benchmarks from a Vega chip. Now, Vega, there's been leaks saying that Vega is going to compete with the 1080 Ti and the GTX Titan X 2016 or 2017 edition. And that's all fine and good, but when benchmarks start leaking, that's when the numbers meet the road, or the rubber meets the road, if you will. So the first numbers have finally started coming out from a leak in Firestrike benchmarks. And, well, needless to say, the numbers are a little interesting here. Oop. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. As you can see here, this article from WCCF Tech, we have the processor running at 1200 megahertz. We have the 8 gigs of RAM running at 700 megahertz. Of course, it is natural to assume that performance is going to improve based upon the fact that this is supposedly an early sample. However, as we go down, we see some benchmarks here. We do see some 66 frames a second, which is promising. But one thing I do not see in here is, and I'm just double checking it as I'm looking, I do not actually see the resolution that is being provided in that screenshot. Now, as we continue to go down, we do see that Firestrike has a score of 14,412. However, I would put that more in stark contrast with the GTX 1080, as you guys can see here. The 1080 that I did have prior to purchasing the 2016 edition of the Titan X Pascal, the Firestrike score is sitting around 17,000. So with that being said, even though these are early days, I'm a little concerned in the numbers, although I do want to refer back to a discussion that I had with Nate over Technotronica. And that is, we might actually see several versions of the RX Vega 10 chip. This might not be the big chip, although it's looking like it may be. I'm actually hoping that they can increase performance quite a bit. However, at this time, it's looking a little concerning. I mean, they still have some ground to make up on the 1080, and if it's going to compete with the 1080 Ti, then, I mean, they have a considerable amount of room to grow with this chip. Of course, AMD in the last generation has proven that they can do quite a bit with DX12 and with Vulkan, which NVIDIA has kind of let the ball slip there. So it will be interesting to actually see what they can do with these chips going forward. If this is the big chip, I would actually expect it to do the AMD thing and come in below the 1080 if this is the maximum performance. Once again, I'm hoping it's not. I'm still expecting, and people tell me I'm crazy, but I'm still expecting that we are going to see a chip that is somewhere between the 1080 and the 1080 Ti. I don't think we will see anything beyond that from AMD. If we do, once again, I will be surprised, but I do think AMD came onto a strategy pretty well, and that is releasing the chips at a lower price point to compete with NVIDIA, and this is the same approach that they took when releasing Ryzen to compete against Intel. Although, unlike the Ryzen chips, we will, I mean, it'll be a few more weeks, but we will see what the side-by-side comparison is. Of course, there is more AMD news to talk about, talking about when we're going to see this. AMD has set a date to talk about RX Vega, and that is going to be on May 16th. So we're just a couple weeks away from an official announcement. Usually when this stuff is announced, this is what we call the paper launch, especially if they say they're launching that day. Although I expect the cards to actually show up at Computex, so that would be a few weeks later. What do you guys think? Do you think it's going to get much better than this? Do you think AMD is finally going to have a card that's going to compete with the Titan X? Do you think we're going to get something between the 1080 and the 1080 Ti? I don't know. It's going to be interesting times. And what do you guys think the price point is going to be? Please let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you found this informative, hit the like button. Always, please, if you enjoy this content, hit the subscribe button. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.